Alright, another video race report here. Ragnar Trail Relay in West Virginia. For those of you that don't know, Ragnar is a relay that started off as point-to-point road relay-ish, where you take a van or two and you have like, 8 to 12 people or something like that, and it's a relay. You just go from one point to another. For the trail relay, it's a little bit different. I would categorize it as more of a festival where you also run. It's you sort of have like a home base area where all the people camp, and there are 3 separate loops that start and end at the exact same place. During the relay, your team just continuously runs. One person goes out and does one loop. As soon as they get back, the next person goes out for the next loop. The entire mileage is around 120 miles. The individuals end up running somewhere around like 15 miles, I guess. I mean, you end up running a good amount, but it's not too crazy because it's spread out. You have 7 other people that are running in between. There's plenty of time to hang out, go to sleep, grab something to eat, which kind of makes it more like that whole festival sort of feel. Which brings me to my next sort of point. It wasn't really my thing. Even though it is a running event, it's sort of centered around, that certain area. So there's beer and stuff there, but it's not like people are getting fucking shit-faced or anything like that. Much more of like a central party-type atmosphere. A bonfire and bands playing and stuff like that, which is tons of fun, but it's not necessarily like a running event. I would categorize it in my experience as being more towards the vein of the Warrior Dash type of event, where it's a big sort of festival sort of thing, but then there's also some running involved. A good amount of mud out there. We got a team of 8. Our team's name was the Bloody Nipple Gang. A buddy of mine, Don, who ran it last year, was a part of this same team. They needed another person for another spot, so I joined this team up. All 6 of the other guys that were on the team were all frat brothers from Lebanon Valley College. We hung out and shot the shit and ate and all that kind of stuff. Me and Tom, we got in pretty late on Thursday night / Friday morning, like 1 or 2 a.m. It's sort of like all hours type thing. I mean, they do have like designated quiet time type times where it's like 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. or something like that. But a lot of people are up like the entire time. Got up, I don't know, it was like 7 o'clock on Friday morning. Everything was looking pretty good. It was a beautiful day. Randy, our team captain, went and did his volunteer work over at the charging station for Goal Zero, and our start time was 1:30, but groups started as early as like 9 a.m. because they were projected to be a little bit slower. So the point of the different start times is to roughly sort of guesstimate based on what you entered for your 10K time for all the groups to finish about the same time on Saturday afternoon. So we started at 1:30 and everything was going just great. We got the first 2 guys through, and then I was the 4th leg. Sam, the guy was out for the 3rd leg, had gone out, and about halfway through his leg, we just got this insane just line of thunderstorms. And there was lightning involved because it was a thunderstorm. They ended up postponing the start times as well as any of the other groups that had just come back. The next person to go out, they had postponed their run. And the way that it actually works is they did a pretty good job with this. Is they actually skipped the person who was going to go out next. So that way, like the finishing time of Saturday afternoon would be about the same, regardless of having the weather delay and all that. The person that comes in after the weather delay has been announced, they give them a card with their entry time, and then there's the next team member that's not skipped. So for our team, that would have been the 5th leg, is supposed to come back an hour after that time on that card. Mine was skipped, so I went out as the 6th leg along with Corey that was actually going to go run the 6th leg. So we just like sort of doubled up. I just did it more or less for fun. I didn't actually have the bib on. I just went out there to go do the green loop. And it was super muddy, and that's pretty much the theme for the remainder of the weekend. Tons of mud, super treacherous. I would imagine there were tons of injuries. Over the course of the entire, all 3 loops, I fell about 5 times. I got some pretty good cuts. My worst one was on that first green loop on Friday afternoon, right where all 3 trails sort of merge in towards the end. It was just super muddy. It was ridiculous, and I fell pretty hard there. This nice little one here, that was from the red loop at night. A little something there on my hand, but the worst one is, can't get too much of a close-up there, but this happened on the first green loop. That was pretty rough. Slipping in the mud, just out there trying to run and just falling all over the place. I did not have the correct shoes for all the mud. I brought my Patagonia Everlongs, my new ones, which I do like a lot, and they were good for this style of event of, you know, short, relatively quick, if you can, trail runs. But with all the mud, I just had absolutely no traction. It was basically like a road shoe out there. I really wish they would have had more of those Salomon shoes, because they actually had like a Salomon tent where they would loan out shoes for you to go do one of the loops. And I know a lot of the Salomon stuff is pretty aggressive with their outsole, which would have been super nice. Not that it would have stopped me from falling at all, but I think I would have felt a little bit more confident, given just a little bit more grip out there in some of the muddy stuff. They didn't have all that many shoes, and like every time that I went up to the thing, they were all out. Maybe that'll be something to improve upon next year, I don't know. It's kind of a different race scenario because you're constantly like gauging times. You're constantly like, okay, well, this guy's gonna come back around, you know, this time, so then I gotta wake this guy up to get up for his loop. So you constantly sort of have to be aware of where you are in the rotation. Otherwise, you're gonna either be very early waiting for your leg, or, you know, be late, which happened to a few groups. They'd get on the horn and just, you know, start announcing the team name and team number to see if they could find the next person. They had a food tent, beer tent, vendors, a good amount of free stuff. That was pretty nice. They had Monster Energy drinks were there. So they had this like tea tent, big like cans of tea, like Arizona size, like big can of tea. And they also had like this Monster Protein Energy shake thing, which was pretty good. I actually had 2 of those before my night run, and consequently, or coincidentally, I don't know, my night run was actually my best one. I had just had an absolute blast. I was so like amped up. I was ready to, as soon as I got back, and it was a long one too. It was the Red Loop, which was like almost 7 miles, and it took me about an hour and a half. But I was ready to go back out. I was like, let me go do the Yellow Loop right now. Just in the dark, because I just had a blast doing it. It was very tough though. It was super muddy. I only averaged like a 13-minute mile or something like that. It was sort of hilly. I mean, if the loops weren't muddy, this would have been relatively flat, all things considered, because I think the hilliest one was the Red Loop, and there was probably like 800 feet of elevation gain there. So for a trail run, it's not that much. The Yellow Loop was very scenic. There was a little pine forest section with these tall, had to have been planted because they were in, you know, perfect rows, but the trail kind of just like weaves through all this pine plantation type thing. So that was pretty neat. And then that was nice because I was actually able to do that on Saturday morning. So I was able to do that in the daylight, and that will be on the race video. It kind of really wasn't like my gig. It wasn't my kind of thing. I would have rather run a lot more and then partied later, you know, afterwards. Maybe like my thing would be more of like doing like the ultra teams. They have ultra teams where instead of having 8 people, you only have 4. So you have the option of either running every 4th leg instead of every 8th, or you run every 4th leg but you double up legs. So like you run the green loop and the yellow loop back to back, and then the next guy goes out and runs the red loop and the green loop. So you have a little bit more time in between your legs, maybe a little bit of time to sleep. I think a lot of people got a good amount of sleep. I mean, they sort of advertise the Ragnar thing as like run, camp, sleep with a question mark, repeat, right? That sort of thing. But I think a lot of people got some sleep. At least on our team they did. I slept pretty good during the rain delay. I got like a couple hours there, maybe 2 hours of sleep there. And then after my night run, I probably got 4 hours of sleep on Saturday morning, from like 3 to 7 or something like that. But I was definitely tired. I fell asleep on the way home. Thank God Tom was driving. And then I got a ton of sleep on Saturday night. I just kind of crashed. It was only about 2.5 hours the entire way from home to where it was in West Virginia, because it's just barely on the other side of the border. Like if you're on 68, you just cross into West Virginia. It's the very first exit. So it wasn't very far into West Virginia. Although they did have like this whole like Instagram hashtag, the Ragnar Trail, what was it? Ragnar Trail WV was the hashtag to like submit stuff for Instagram and be a, you know, like a contest kind of thing. But I really didn't have any service, so I didn't bother with it. It would have been nice to have that for that type of purpose, for the social media stuff, but I really sometimes just enjoy being out and disconnected, so that was cool. I did try out my Goal Zero, the new Nomad 7 solar panels, and it seemed to work okay for my phone, but with we're trying to charge Rick's phone with it, but he said it actually seemed to like pull a charge from his phone, so I'm not really sure. what happened there. Yeah, I mean, as far as the running goes, though, I felt pretty good. I was huffing and puffing because I'm a fat bastard. I didn't have a real hard time with any of the stuff. The night run was kind of difficult logistically because I had my glasses on and it was foggy and my glasses were fogging up. So I sort of like had to alternate every like 10 minutes or so, taking the glasses off, putting them in my pocket, or just holding them, letting them like sort of defog while I ran without my glasses. Because as soon as it gets fogged up, you sort of like lose the depth perception, which makes it really, really hard at night because my headlamp isn't that bright apparently. I thought I had a pretty decent headlamp. I had the Tika 2 from Petzl, but it wasn't nearly as bright as a lot of other people that were out there. I think it would have been helpful to have a handheld flashlight as well as the headlamp for that night run, but it was just really difficult for depth perception stuff to tell, like, oh, is that a puddle or is that a rock? It just makes you go a little bit slower, which was also a reason why it was a lot more fun, I think, because I was able just to not worry about pace and just go out there and just enjoy a different type of run. The red loop. The yellow loop was a lot of fun too. It actually kind of dried out a little bit the second half of the yellow loop by Saturday morning, late morning, around noon or so. You could actually kick it up a notch. It was nice. Medals are pretty cool. They're like a wood block with a leather thing on it with like a hemp necklace deal. The shirts aren't tech shirts, which I was kind of surprised by, but whatever. I got too many t-shirts anyway. They're long sleeves, so that's nice, and it's something a little bit different. They do a really good job of responding to adverse situations and things that just come up. Inevitable things that come up, but you don't know what they are until they do come up. Like the lightning thing, like had issues with people washing themselves off with the potable water, or potable water, and they had to, just make up these big signs that said, "Don't wash yourself off with this stuff. We have showers for that kind of thing." Speaking of showers, I didn't take a shower at all. I just had wipes. As soon as you got, cleaned up, you would just walk, back to the campsite, and you'd have to walk through mud anyways. The only thing that was bad about that was I got my big gash on my knee cut pretty early, so I didn't really get a good chance to wash that off like real good until I got home. So it's probably a little bit infected and it'll probably scar or something like that, but hey, maybe it'll be a good story. I mean, I'm 32, so by this point, scarring, I'm not really worried about that kind of stuff. I'm past giving two shits about that. Yeah, it was a fun event. I'm not sure if I'll do it again. I would like to do the van Ragnar thing, because I think that's a completely different animal, and you also get to see more diverse scenery over the course of like 200 miles or something like that. And of course you still get the whole continuous thing, which I do like. I do like having this continual relay kind of a deal. That definitely changes the feel of the run up a little bit. Next race is going to be the Run and Ride half marathon at Cedar Point, the amusement park. If you enjoyed this race report, please let me know in the comments below. If you really liked it, maybe you want to subscribe. If you didn't, tell me, hey, you need to type all this shit out like the rest of the bloggers that are out there. 2feetfromanywhere.com, on Facebook, 2 Feet From Anywhere, Twitter, 2 Feet Blog, and on Instagram, 2 Feet From Anywhere. My name's Ian, and I hope you enjoyed this race report. Until next time, for the Run and Ride in Cedar Point, Sandusky, Ohio. Hopefully we'll get some good roller coaster videos and shit like that for the entire weekend. So that should be fun. And I will do another race report. I will continue to do these video race reports as long as people continue to watch them. And I'm sick of typing everything out because a lot of times I don't take that many pictures when I'm out, and those things really work well with the blog style entry. And I just haven't been doing those. I've been doing a lot more video stuff, so this video thing seems to work out well for me. Hopefully it works out well for you. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time. Later. Bye-bye.